So here we go. So here we are, guys, with Yves Allegro. Did I say it right? Yves Allegro.
Yves, Yves
Yves
Allegro.
without the S, right?
Exactly.
I know more English than French, so I'm sorry about that. But we leave it like that, Yves Allegro. So I'm very happy that you are here with us, Yves. This is something that I was pursuing for a lot of time. I was asking you if you could come to the channel, and I appreciate you taking the time and being here with us. First question is, how are you feeling, man? I know that you've been training with the kids, with the guys. And before I ask you, what are you up to these days? Everything good? Are you in Grown right now, where you were born,
Yeah,
or
I'm
in
in
another?
grown. I'm grown. I'm at my place. I was traveling the last 3 weeks, so it's always nice to be home. When you travel a lot, you're always happy when you're home.
So so people know about this. You've For the past 3 weeks you've been in the United States, right, with Leandro Rieri, which is who is a young, promising Swiss tennis player. So you are, so to say, I mean, people will remember you were a former tennis player, doubles tennis player, also singles tennis player. You played Davis Cup and Olympic games for Switzerland, and we're gonna hear some great stories about you. But you are now, let's say, also doing academy work, and from time to time traveling with Leandro Reddy, and in the Challenger Tour, and hopefully in the ATP Tour soon.
Exactly. So I do many things. I'm coaching as well Pierre-Hugues Herbert,
That's
who
great.
is injured at the moment, and but he's starting. We're starting to practice next Monday again. That's going to be the first real practice for him on the tennis court since his injury shortly before before Wimbledon. Um, so that's I'm looking forward to that. I coach Leandro already, as you said, as well. Um, I have a tennis academy with my business partner in Verbier, Switzerland, and we help club. We try to help a lot of clubs in my area, in my region, small clubs. Our goal is to bring kids to sports, and for me, it doesn't matter which sport, but we do tennis, but it's important that kids move and don't spend too much time in front of the computer or phone or whatever. And I think when they do sport, it's good for their health. It's good for the life. So that's for me, it's a very important goal. I organize as well a 25,000 future in Sierre, it's close by from where I live. And I do as well some management. I managed a little bit Victoria Golubic,
Yes, Swiss tennis player.
and just tennis player, and I manage one of us young, promising skier, Camille Rast. She's top 15 in the world.
Wow.
She's a very, very promising, and I help her in the communication, and I help her in sponsoring and stuff like that. So I have very different things that I do.
You are a jack of all trades, man. You are in almost every single area, so that's good to know. So you mentioned that you are coaching right now Pierre-Hugues Herbert, which I think many people will know about him. So you're telling me that he's coming back soon. So maybe he's
Yeah.
gonna start practicing now, and we'll see him again on court in 2000 and so the next year, I guess.
Yes, he will start in Australia again, or in the beginning of January. That's
Yeah.
the goal if everything goes well, attending to the plan. He could probably already maybe start in December, the no tournament, and he will take his protected ranking as well in December. So and he wants to take time to be full healthy. I mean, it doesn't matter if you lose 1 or 2 more weeks or 3 more weeks. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Just be ready. He and he still thinks that he has. You want to really try again in singles more than doubles, because in doubles
Okay.
he has the feeling he won everything. He won all the slams. He won Davis Cup, so it's only the Olympics which is not for him something he would love to. But the rest, he won everything. So for him, it's singles, which is important in the future. So he's starting from 250 in the world, so it's going to be a long way back. But I believe in him, and he has a very good connection with Leandro, really. So that's good as well, because for me it's easy to coach two players. It's sometimes not easy, and even this year when he was injured, he went to Mallorca with Leandro as a coach. So that
Ah.
was pretty cool. It's a nice little team, yeah.
It's like a father, or master pupil,
Big brother.
master and apprentice relationship. Yeah, big brother. I like that. I like it. So yeah, we'll talk later about that too, and we'll keep an eye on Pierre, you and Leandro. But I wanted to start because I approach this, as maybe doing a journey over time, over your career, over your relationship also with Roger Federer. So if we go back in time, the first question that I have to ask you is, when did you meet Roger Federer? Because I know you are 3 years older than him, if I'm not wrong. So, but you could say that you are more or less in the same generation. Do you remember the first time you meet him? I probably alongside many other Swiss players, but do you remember that first time?
I remember the first time I saw him. It was at the Swiss Championship, I will say in 1990. It was under 12 for him. So
Wow.
93 or 90, I would say
Yeah.
1993 or I would say 93 at a Swiss Championship in the Italian part of Switzerland. And I think he won under 12. He won the under 12, and I was 15 at that time. So you always know when a little guy wins, you see it. So I remember that. That's the first time I really saw him. But the first time I really met him is when he came in '95, I think, to the Swiss National Center when he moved to Écublens back in the day near Lausanne, and there he was the youngest one. And
So he was the little kid there.
There was a little kid. He came. He was, I think, he was just 13 or 14.
Yeah.
So he was the junior, and that's when I really met him. Really, or get to know him a little bit. Yeah.
So at that time, I had it here written down about training in Écublens together. Did you at that time think that he had the highest ceiling amongst all the Swiss players in that generation? Could you see that his success was going to come at some time? Or do you think, okay, this guy is younger than us, he's 2 years younger, he's really good, but there are some other players that could be equally as good as him?
To be honest, me with 14, I didn't have the feeling he was something special.
Okay.
But when he was 14, the first year I was there, I didn't practice much with him as well because I was 3 years older, and my level was much better than his level.
Yeah.
It was not the same group. And with 14, I saw he was talented, but he was kind of lazy, and he was and he was sad not to be home. You could see he didn't find his way yet. So at 14, to be honest, and he was not even the number one, or he had one guy, Sven Svinen, who is coaching now Dominic Stricker. Sven was the same age, and they were kind of the same level. Sven was much taller, but even Sven was a same, or even sometimes he was beating him. So he was didn't think, with 16 it was then different. With 16, for me, with 16, I knew he was going to be.
That's when you realized that Roger, who had the potential to be at the very top, 16 years old.
With 16, I said he's going to be very good, and with 17, I remember I spoke to a few guys on tour, and I said he will be number one in the world. I remember one day it was with Federico Luzzi, which is an Italian player who died.
Federico Luzzi, yeah, I know, yes.
And I remember I talked to him in a challenger in Italy, and I said, he said, I practice in the US with Xavier Malisse. Xavier Malisse is going to be the best player in the world. I said, no chance. It's going to be Roger. And Roger, it was 18 or 17 or 18 or 19. And I thought he's unbelievable. But not with 14. It started with 16, and then from 16 to 18, 19, he improved so fast and so good. He was already amazing.
You witnessed it firsthand because, if I'm not mistaken, after training in Écublens, you moved to Biel, to the Swiss Tennis Center. I think it was made at that time, Swiss Tennis Center in Biel. And many things have been written about that apartment that you shared with Roger. Was it with Roger? I don't remember the other guy's name. I think there was someone else, right?
No.
Just the two of us.
It was two of us. And then after 2 years, I left.
Okay.
And he started sharing with. I don't know if he shared first with Svinen or first with Lammer, but
okay, that's
shared with both of these guys, but I was the first one who shared with him, and then they kicked me out of the national center with 19, and because they said I'm not good enough, and
Really?
and yeah, and it's funny because now we have Swiss tennis player who was 19 or 20, they are 300 in the world, and we give them a lot of money to improve. And me, I was with 20, I was 300 in the world, and they kicked me out because I was not good enough, because they were comparing always to Roger. So
That's crazy, man.
so,
That's crazy.
but I lived from summer 97 to summer 99. We shared the apartment. Yeah.
Was he as we have right now, we have that Federer's figure, idolized Federer's figure, like he's so correct, so polite, so serious, so well educated. Was he at that time like that, or was he a little bit more naughty, a little bit more mischievous? Who had to cook in that apartment? Seriously.
But he never cooked. I think he still doesn't know how to cook now, so he's not perfect. Don't worry. No, but he's what people don't know is like Roger is a very, very funny guy. Really.
Okay, I like
now,
that.
He's not. He's serious in his work and stuff. He's not someone serious. It's always someone who does joke. He has feel. In French, we say feel shit in the head. Like
yeah, I think I understand.
Yes, in a nice way. So he's always there for a joke or whatever. No, he was very young. He was like a teenager. He loved to play his PlayStation. He was a PlayStation man.
Did he beat you in PlayStation, or you beat him?
Well, yeah, because I never played. It's not my thing. So I was, and the TV was in my room. So when he played PlayStation, he had to come to my room. So because the TV was in my room, so
you were doing all the serious stuff in that apartment. He was playing PlayStation.
Exactly. So no, he was like a teenager, very emotional when he was playing PlayStation, going crazy, but it was always a nice way. He was always a good kid. He was confident.
Yeah.
Someone who was confident in himself, but never arrogant. And he was crazy on the court, or sometimes he was not behaving well, but it was never against the others. He was always against himself, and he was always a nice guy. He had always a good education from his parents, so it was very easy we had a lot of fun. It was funny.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much for opening up and telling all about this. You were mentioning that on the court, he was still, this raw kid with a lot of emotions going on and with a lot of fire, in himself. And sometimes he didn't funnel it, or he didn't channel it in the best possible way. Because we saw Roger when he was young, he was even breaking some rackets, which right now is crazy to think about it, no? But you are saying that off court, as a young guy, he was nothing like on court. Like, he was very polite, even though emotional and all of this stuff. But you could still see that Roger was a good kid, and that his temperament, was something that could be corrected, so to say, in the future.
He was a kid with a lot of energy. He's a guy yeah, I think he needed time to control his energy, his emotion on court, and everybody is. It needs some time for that, and needs to discover himself. And it was funny because they always compared him to Leighton Hewitt, who Leighton find his way very early, but at the end, maybe too early, because he didn't. He finished number one in the world, but at one point he didn't improve much. And Roger maybe took more time, but he had more margin for improvement. But it took more time. It took a few years more. He needed to just mature. So I think that was it. He had. I remember with 21, 22, he said, "Oh, he will never win anything. He's a player with a lot of prospect, but at the end, but he needed just his time. And when every pieces of the puzzle went together, he clicked. He was unbeatable for a few years. So I just think he needed time to grow as a tennis player, but he needed time to grow with his personality. And I think that's why I don't like to compare the players and whatever, because it's the own pathway, and everybody has a different pathway, and should look. Yeah, you should never compare them, basically.
I have a few questions left for later on about all
Yeah.
these young upcoming players in Switzerland, because I know they're gonna have to weight in their shoulders all the comparisons, and sometimes that's not good stuff. I'll ask you about it later. So at that time, Roger was an up and coming player, but he had success not that early, as you said. You mentioned Leighton Hewitt; he had success much earlier than Roger. But you also have a pretty good Swiss generation of players, because you had yourself, you had Marco Chiudinelli, Michael Lammer was coming up a little bit later on. Were you guys really competitive against each other, or were you at one point saying, okay, Roger is gonna be like very good, but we are still gonna do it like our own way. We are not gonna listen to what other people or what the newspapers say.
I think that Roger was so much better than the others that he was never in you could not compare. He was not the opponent for us, and it makes life easier. But it's funny because I think the names you said, it's Marco Chiudinelli, Michael Lamami, and Roger. It's a real friendship. It's I know that not many you have friend, but that's more than friend. Like when Roger got married,
Yeah.
we were all at the wedding, and Michael Lammer got married a month ago, and we were all at the all four were at the wedding. So it's something beyond tennis. What we have with these guys. So. So it was a real friendship, but it helped the friendship that he was not. Roger was so much better that he was not, and he was always helping us. And me, I was different because as when Chiudinelli Lammer started to play well, I was already more playing doubles, so I was not on their way as well. So finally, it was kind of easy relationship, and so it's a real friendship. It was never of course sometimes one of the guys was not in the Davis Cup team because they had to pick a player, and we had Stefan Bolli who was playing good at one point, then Stan Wawrinka came. So but these four players, it's something special.
It's the big four of Switzerland. Okay, we're gonna call it that
right,
way.
Yeah, in the friendship, yes.
Yeah. The special big four. I know Stan came later on. What a force of nature.
And Stan is not the same generation because we kind of grew up together. Roger Stan came later.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But it's so good to know that you still guys have a friendship like any of us would have with his friends, because
exactly.
It could happen that Roger became like best player in the world, but not only a best player in the world, he became a global sporting icon. But he didn't forget about you, or he didn't forget about the guys that were with him in his roots, So that's something that people should know, and it's good that you are sharing it with us, So I really like that. You mentioned about Davis Cup. I had a few questions about Davis Cup coming on because, in Spain, when we were growing up, Rafa played a lot of Davis Cup, and there was one time in his career that Roger, let's say the peak years of Roger, that he sometimes forgoes some ties, some Davis Cup ties. But when he was growing up and he was coming up in the ATP circuit, he played a lot of Davis Cup. Did you think that he not behaved, but he was like himself was a little bit different in Davis Cup with a more relaxed atmosphere, and with you guys, it meant a lot for him, Davis Cup, right?
Well, yeah, Davis Cup was something always special. I think our generation, Davis Cup, they killed the Davis Cup, so the Davis Cup for me is dead.
I agree with you, man.
But the Davis Cup was always something special for the kids. The first time you see tennis in your lives is often it's Davis Cup. It's in Switzerland, it's maybe the tournament in Basel, or it's Davis Cup. But we all have a big relationship with Davis Cup. And as we were four good friends in the team most of the time together, for us it was an unbelievable week because it was always the best week of the year because it's like so funny. So funny time, and of course with Roger in the team it was always better because you give yourself a bigger chance to win, of course. But for him it meant a lot. But it was a problem with the Davis Cup. Davis Cup is what people don't realize. A week in Davis Cup it kills you because you not only focus on yourself, you focus on the other guys. You watch the match with the other guys. You get nervous. You have pressure from not pressure, but a little bit pressure from the federation. You have to do a lot of things for the federation, and then and then you play home. You have all the family come. It's a lot of people come. That you have to organize tickets. It takes you a lot of energy a week at Davis Cup, and after, I think all the players realized, all the good players, Rafa, Joko, and you cannot play everything. You have to do choices. If you want to be the big tournaments, you need to do choices. And Roger, starting 2005, he decided that he might skip a few Davis Cup, but I think he played, except 1 year, I think he played every year at least once.
Yeah.
Until they won the Davis Cup in 2014. When Switzerland won, after that he never played again, because I completely understand, because when you win it, you win it. But everybody was complaining that he's not playing, but I was saying he's playing every year. So it's not 1 year he skipped Davis Cup. So he just he was making it difficult for us, because he was not playing the first round. And he was then playing the barrage to stay to stay in September. But in September it was okay for him to play, because the playoff. But it was okay to play for him because all the slams were done. So the 90% of the season was done. It was only Basel for him, which is important, and the Masters. But so to play in September for him, it makes sense, because 80%, 90% of the season was done, and all the fourth slam was behind him. So he was not taking a risk to get too tired or to get injured or whatever. Even if he got injured in the Davis Cup, then it would not be too bad, because he still had 4 months to get ready for Australia. So I think it made sense, and it was the good choices, because when he started to do that, he started to win all the slams. So, and you cannot play everything. So I think he loved Davis Cup. He loved to compete with his friends, but at some point he could not be the priority anymore.
Did you feel at that time, when Roger started to pick, let's say 2004, 2005, that there was a spur of growth in tennis in Switzerland? Like, people started focusing much more on tennis? Or do you feel that even before of Roger, people really were into tennis in your country?
Tennis started really. We had the first one was Heinz Kunter, but it's back in the long day. But that was not for only the tennis people. And then with Rose and Lazek, when Rose won in Barcelona '92 the Olympic gold against Jordi Areze, I think that was big, because it was in TV and it was Olympic champion. And then in '92 as well, we played the Davis Cup final for the first time. And we played in semi-final against Brazil. It was 18,000 people in the stadium in Geneva, indoors. So that was something huge. And that tennis got very popular at that point because of Davis Cup and Marc Rosset. I think Marc Rosset made it bigger. And then what happened? Then Martina Hingis came.
Yes.
And she was a tennis
superstar
legend. That's a superstar. And she was unbelievable with 12, 13. And she was getting big. And it was the first global sports person we had, icon in Switzerland. And people didn't like her because she had sponsored not only all the other guys. There was Swiss sponsor. I mean, she was an international star. So they followed her. She was big, but she was not well liked, because it was the first time that a Swiss player or Swiss sports makes money with contracts, international contracts.
Yeah,
that was,
not only contracts from her country.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was a good preparation for Roger. And then Roger came, and Roger was well liked, and he made tennis huge, because since Roger played, we had tennis. You have so much tennis on free TV, not on public TV.
Wow. Yeah.
So we had the last 20 years. You can see all the match from all the slams in Switzerland on TV. So I think that he made bigger. I cannot say there is more kids playing tournaments or whatever. You have more kids playing tennis, trying tennis. Not many more kids competing, but we still have the same numbers than 20 years ago, and we have many more sports now. Kids can do many more choices of sports. So it means, because of Roger, we still have good numbers, and tennis was on TV and in the media always for the last 20 years.
Yeah,
so of course tennis got big.
No, but as you said, because, for example, many of us, we grew up watching tennis and became hooked to tennis by watching it on free TV. So that, of course, must have made a difference. I mean, that's...
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. You played a lot with Roger in doubles, and we're gonna dive in a little bit in your doubles career too. You won 2 titles with him. Only with Max Mirnyi, he has had more success. So you are high on the list, in terms of double partnership. What was it like to play with Roger? Did you feel like Roger, with a little bit of more training, as so to say, or more doubles pedigree, he could have also rose to the number one spot in the rankings in doubles too?
Yes, I think so, because he has a perfect game for doubles. Honestly, yeah, for sure. There's no doubt if he would have played doubles a lot, and I realized always every time when we were starting to play a few tournaments in a row,
Yeah,
it didn't happen much. But then when he has more doubles under his belt, then he was starting to play really, really, really good. And for me, when he was playing good in doubles, he was the best player in the world in doubles as well those years. So yes, he's a very, very good doubles player.
what was the best match you have played alongside Roger for you? If you could choose one, I mean, I know it's a tough question, but
it's a tough question because we had a few. The final, the first final in Vienna that we won in 2003 against I think Bupati Mirni, I think it was. So, and there was Roger just won in singles against Moya in the final.
yeah,
and
I remember that.
We played, and Mirni and Bupati were like unbelievable players in doubles there, and that was a very, very good doubles, and it was the first final. And yeah, I think that's probably one of my best doubles as well on my career. And then we had a few good ones. Maybe the most impressive one for me, or the most I remember, is our first Davis Cup match together against Pavel and Trifu.
Romania, right? Yeah.
And for me, it was special because I was practicing in Germany with those guys, with Pavel and Trifu. So it was a special match. It was the first time. It was in Romania. The crowd was tough when I was serving, and it was tough. And that was the first time that Roger was playing as a number one in the world. He became number one just a week before, and we won in 5 sets. And it was my first Davis Cup match, and we won 9-7 in the fifth.
Yeah,
that's probably the most
special
match I played with him.
So you could say that you open up Roger's reign in tennis as a number one player.
Kind of, yeah.
It's a special thing, that you could say. That's perfect, man. Just closing up the chapter of Davis Cup. When Switzerland won the Davis Cup in 2014, when Roger beat Richard Gasquet in the last match of the series of the tie, did you also feel like part of Switzerland's success? Because after all, it closed a chapter that started way earlier.
Exactly. I think the whole story was started in 2003, 2004. I was the first one to join the team. Then I think Kudinli came, then Lammer came. Then Stan came quite early as well. Stan came 2003, I think. Or no, 2004. Yeah. So it's
early.
That's when
anyway.
It was all started, and it was a 10 to 12 year story. I was the first one to stop, so I stopped in 2011. But yeah, I didn't feel I was part of the team anymore. But I was part of the story, and I was working at the federation at that time, so it was a big success for tennis in Switzerland.
Absolutely, man. How scary was to witness Roger Federer's level of game 2004, 2005, because you played with him in ATP Tour a lot, and many people say that was the highest level of tennis that they have witnessed. Did you also feel that way too?
For me, the best tennis Roger played was 2017. For me,
okay,
when he
perfect.
came back after his injury, I think that was for me the best level he ever played. For me. I think that was unbelievable.
With the nail backhand.
Yeah, exactly. The 2005 was unbelievable because he was unbeatable almost. For me was, and I talked to him, and he has the same impression. In 2007, for me, I was sure he was going to have the best years. I don't know if 2007 when he had the mono.
2008. 2008.
2008.
Yeah,
So
that's the year.
2007 in December, I practiced. Lammer and me, we went to Dubai to do the December practice with him. And seriously, he was a monster. There, I never saw that level of physical, that level of
Tennis.
play, and he was confident because he won a lot before. And seriously, I had the feeling 100% he will win he's going to be unbeatable. He will win the Grand Slam. It was something out of the mind. And I remember the physical coach was saying, I don't know what's going on. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
He's playing so good, so fit, and I remember we were playing 2 against 1, and we had to stop because we were getting so tired. The intensity was so high.
Really?
Really, really amazing. And he got sick in Australia. And the funny thing is he had the virus already in December, but he didn't know, and that's maybe because of that
change of weather or something. Yeah.
And yes, but that was unbelievable. And then the mononucleosis killed it, and then he did it. 2008, he had a tough year. He won the US Open at the end, but he had a tough year. But that's where I felt he was the strongest. And at the wedding of Lammer 1 month ago, we talked about it, and he out of the blue said, I was unbelievable 2007 in December.
Wow.
And he had the same feeling. And for me, that's the strongest Federer I've seen. But it was nobody saw it because it was practice. But that was unreal.
But now people in our channel know about it, and you discussed and you discussed it with Roger like a month ago, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. I appreciate it. You opening up. I love the story. Absolutely. Honest question. Let's say 2000. We're gonna go forward in time because if not, we're not gonna finish the interview, and I still gotta ask you some things about the future and about what you're doing now. 2000, let's say 8, 7, 8, 9, when he was close, he was fastly approaching Sampra's record. Did you honestly believe that he was going to break it?
Yes.
No doubts about it, right?
No, because he was winning. It was a long way, but he was winning 3 a year. Basically, he was only losing at the French.
Yeah, with Rafa.
And in the bad year, he was winning 2. So it's like he made so many slams in 3-4 years that you have the feeling, okay. And then when he was losing, he was not losing first round. He was losing even the years he didn't win. He was losing in quarter, in semis, in finals. So, yeah, for me, it was just a matter of time.
That's something that I missed about with all the trajectory that we're talking about your career, which I'm sure it was an unbelievable experience. But maybe it's also a little bit of a thorn on your side, something that you have mixed feelings about, which is the Olympic tennis 2004. You had the chance to represent Switzerland, play for your country in the Olympics. You had a pretty good chance, and you played with Roger. He lost against Tomas Berdych, and then in doubles with you at that day. Was it probably the saddest day of Roger Federer's career at that time? And how did you feel about those Olympic Games? Because I mean, you probably had some expectations, but it was very difficult still to play against Bupati and Paes, which was an amazing partnership. Yeah.
Yeah, it was not an easy draw, but we beat Fürstenfeld and Matkowski in the first round, and they were top 10 in the world, and we killed them 2-2 or 2-3. And Roger was very motivated, but the match against Berdych was 3 hours long. I stayed in the sun and watched it. That was not very smart for me. And it's funny because I remember we never practiced on that court because we thought he was number one. He would play on center court. He didn't play on center court. He played on court 1. The court 1 was a little bit strange, different. And he said, I don't know what's wrong with my racket. He didn't feel the ball, and he lost 7-5 in the third, and he was really down. And the bad thing is that we played doubles, I think, an hour after.
Yeah, it was the same day. Yeah.
Same day, but it was not even 2 or 3 hours. It was like,
okay.
I have the feeling he did press, and he had he eat, and we went on court. And yes, it was so tough for him. And basically, we played a horrible first set because he was still in the singles, and I was like so much in emotion watching your friend lose, and he was 3 hours in the sun, 35. So we played shit first set, and then I think we had 5 or 6 points in the second set.
Yeah, it was very close in the tiebreak. I remember. Yeah,
7-6, but I think we had set point at 4-5 or 5-6 break points, so we didn't make it. And I have the feeling, okay, Bupaet Paz is one of the best team in the world, but I had the feeling at that point we could have beat them, and actually. Olympics doesn't matter if you don't make a medal, you don't make a medal. That's it. Yeah. You go for a medal. So we had the goals to make a medal. We didn't make it, but we lost against a very, very good team. But I have the feeling the fact that he lost his singles didn't help. But at the end of the day, the Indians were just better.
Yeah, but it's true. There was a lot of emotional baggage, I would say, a lot of emotional luggage at that day, I remember. Absolutely, man. Well, I kind of finished the chapter about your career. I mean, I had two questions about your career, just solely about your career, because after all, I mean, we have Roger and Stan, which are like, okay, unbelievable players, probably going to go down as top 50 in the history of tennis. But you were also really successful. I mean, you had 3 doubles titles, if I'm not wrong, almost top 30 in the, I think, best career high ranking was 32, if I'm not mistaken. But, and I think I read this in an interview of you, it's a double-edged sword to live in Switzerland because, of course, when you have Federer and Wawrinka, the press are going to focus on them. It maybe takes pressure, the focus, the spotlight is not on you. But when you also have success, it gets a little bit overshadowed by Roger and Stan. Did you feel that way? Or are you happy with your overall career after all?
I think I could have done better. That's my opinion. I should have done better, but it's okay. I have no regrets, but I think I should have been better in singles and better in doubles. I had the tennis to do it. I didn't have the mental, but I had the.
But it's very difficult, this sport, man. It's
a very tough sport, but I just think I should have done better, or I could have done better. But I just watch.
You good?
Okay, no. It's just if I have enough battery. That's why. So it was that. I think I should have done better, but yeah, overshadow. Yes and no, because of them, we were in the World Group in Davis Cup, so it's good for us as well. But of course, it's not easy. Because even for Stan was tough because Stan he was not top 10 in the world, and the people in Switzerland the feeling is shit, kind of, because it's not good enough. And then even when you win a slam, so it's okay. Roger has 20, so it's it's a little bit yeah. And we were used to. I mean, and people in Switzerland, they feel it's easy to win slam because Hingis won slams. So and Stan won slams. We have 3 players in the last 20 years, 25 years who won slams. So it's kind of became normal. And when you're 30 in doubles or you're 200 in singles, they say, "Oh, okay, yeah."
But it's an unbelievable career anyway, Yeah,
it's good, and but yes, the comparison to Roger is tough because what he achieved is so enormous, it's so big that basically you do the same sport, but you cannot compare, and people, of course, they compare, but doesn't really matter. But at the end, I think it helped Roger with his success, helped us more than we were
than the other way.
Yeah,
that's amazing, man. So I wanted to ask you now, but I have just 2 little bit more blocks, and this one is about the future of Switzerland tennis, in which you are heavily involved, as coaching Leandro and supervising, let's so to say, the development of young players. You have Marc-Andrea Husler, who just won an ATP tournament. You have Dominic Stricker, who won Roland Garros Junior. You have Leandro Reddy, who also had amazing results in junior and he's slowly coming up the ranks. My question is, how do you educate them to not think about the results of the past or the comparisons that people will mostly make? How do you sort of let them be convinced that you're going to have your own path, you're going to have your own development, don't focus on the noise outside and just believe in your tennis?
Well, I think the lucky part, also Hüsler is a different story. He came later, and I have so much respect for the guy. I think he's unbelievable what he's doing. If you were to tell me 7 years ago he will win an ATP Slam, I would have laughed at you really badly, and I would say,
Really?
you have no idea about tennis. So what this guy is achieving is, for me, he has all my respect, and I think he's now the main person. He's pushing the young guys to get better, because the young guys have the feeling, if he can do it,
We can do it.
we can do it. And with Roger, it was not the same, because Roger and Stan, they are so far away. It's not the reality, kind of. So it's not, you don't say, if Stan did it, I can do it. It's like if Roger did, because there are exceptions. With Hustler, it's easy to recognize yourself in Hustler. And to come back to your question, with the young guys, we were lucky to have these young guys since a very young age. So I was in charge of the next generation at Swiss tennis from 2011 to 2020, and then I left mid 2020, end of 2020.
Yeah.
And so if we take Stricker, Leandro Ridi, and Jérôme Kim, which is very good as well. He's 1 year younger. These three guys, we took them at the federation. They came on a regular basis since they were 12 years old, and from 15 they were practicing full time with us in a group, and we had time to develop them, and we had time to talk about these things with them, and said, and they met Roger as well, and we had time to tell them, hey guys, there is no next Roger, and in the federation we communicate a lot of that. There is no next Roger. Will be a next Grand Slam champion? Probably not. If Switzerland has in the next 15 years another Grand Slam champion, it's how lucky we were. I mean, we already at 3 now. In 20 years, it's unbelievable when you see that France didn't win a slam since '83, since Noah.
Yeah.
And USA didn't win a slam since 2003, since Roddick. So it's crazy that how lucky we were. If there is one more, it will be it's like winning the lottery. But I think we talk to the media a lot to stop to compare, as they always do a little bit. And we were communicating the coach, the coaches, the federation, the politics. We were saying, hey guys, there is no next Federer. But our goal is that these guys, they can make a living with tennis in the future. That's the main goal, and they can live. And if they finish top 100, top 50, top 10, and if they can go and fulfill the full potential, use the full potential they have, then it's already a great career.
That's a great answer, man. And I honestly feel the same way, because here in Spain we also had this mirror image, with Rafa and now the youngsters, and Alcaraz is doing it his own way, as you could see, and his team has completely isolated him from the noise. So that's the perfect approach and the perfect philosophy, and I couldn't even ask for a better answer, in my opinion. So that's perfectly covered, and I think they will do well. I really like both Dominic and Leandro. Dominic, I love his game, but he still needs to learn a lot, and he still needs to grow, so we'll see. Last two questions about...
They are completely different. That's true. They are completely different. Dominic is more mature, and Leandro needs to fight with his emotion. But for me, they both have the potential to be very, very good players.
I think they will be. I think they will be. We'll see, man. We'll see it. So the last two questions, I left the most personal ones, so to say, for the last block. And I have here an anecdote which I'd love you to share them for our viewers. I'm sure you will remember. I'm gonna say 2003. I'm gonna say Gron. I'm gonna say your tennis club, and I'm gonna say someone called Roger Federer, who has just won a Grand Slam. And the next match he played after winning his first Grand Slam, I think it was at your club, right?
It was not the first match, because he played. No, because he played Gstad the week after.
So it was after Gstad, right?
Right. He played Wimbledon. He went straight to Gstad. He lost in the final in Gstad to Irshinorak. And then the Tuesday after, he played an exhibition in my club. Yeah. Because I remember we were in Doha in January, and I told him the club is the 25th anniversary of the club.
Yes, which was founded by your father, Is this right?
Founded by my father, and my father left, and he was taking over the club again because they had a financial problem. So he came back to save the club, and then Roger said, "Okay, I can help you to save the club." And so we did this exhibition in 2003 in my club. Yeah, it's a little village because you have 2,000 people living in the village, and we had 3,000 people in the stands. So it was funny.
It's crazy. So Roger committed, even though he just won a Grand Slam, he probably could have had like lots of media commitments, he could have played an exhibition match, made millions, and he's still committed to play for free at your club, right? After Wimbledon. I guess that says it all about him, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it was funny because he promised to come, and then he was so busy after his first Grand Slam win. And all the organizers said, "Hey, you had Roger. You sure he's coming?" He said, "Yes, yes, yes." But he didn't call me for a week. I didn't know. He was so busy. So he contacted. I think he contacted me the same morning or the night before, and I was telling everyone, "Yeah, no, I know," but I was getting stressed but he was so busy. I knew he was so busy, and I didn't want to. And then he called me the same morning or the night before. So at what time we play tonight? So I said,
like if you booked a tennis court with your friend and say, "What time are you?" We finally play.
Exactly.
That's amazing, man. Last questions. Last question, and then I'm gonna do something quick fire questions that you're gonna like. But the last questions. What of all the adjectives that are usually used to describe Roger? Which one, like, of course, you had elegant, had polite, you have icon, you have, I don't know, there are a lot. What adjectives would you use to describe him? You know him up close, you know what his values are. What's his most valuable trait or characteristic?
Happy. Happy in the way the guy is always in a good mood. It's a very positive guy. It's fun to be around him because he's very happy, very positive, and I think that's he's funny. So but he's always in a good mood. You
Bringing
always
good
have a
vibes.
good vibe, a good vibes when you're around him, and I think for me, it's great. It's a great things he has because when you have someone so positive next to you, it just helps to grow. So I think it's something that I really, really love about him.
That's great, man. That's perfect. Okay, so here we just finished the whole interview. First of all, I want to thank you once again for your time. And the last thing that I have prepared and that we usually do at our channel, the last part is just, you're going to see it's 2 minutes. But you have to be ready because it's quick fire questions, okay? It's like a ping pong. Yeah. So I'm gonna throw some names at you or things or whatever, and you're gonna have to reply with whatever that comes to your mind. The first thing that pops up to your mind. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Let me see. Okay, Switzerland.
Cheese.
Basel.
Roger.
Gron.
Yves.
Tennis.
Best sport in the world.
Amazing. Roger Federer.
Icon.
Rafael Nadal.
A friend. Best player of all time.
Rafael Nadal. Wow. People will like that for sure. Novak Djokovic.
Because we're on the Spanish channel.
Novak Djokovic. Next one.
It's so many adjectives with Novak.
That's good. That's good. I like that.
It's Novak. It's love and hate.
I like that. I think you could reflect a little bit on that answer, but we'll leave it for let's finish.
I have a lot of respect. I have a lot of respect for Novak. Unbelievable.
Let's finish it. Stan Wawrinka.
Hardest working guy I know.
Marco Chiudinelli and Michael Lammer.
Best friends.
Mirka Vavrinek.
Legend.
Leandro Riedi. You couldn't say the first thing that came to
No. Leandro is like a son to me.
That's perfect. Dominic Stricker.
Unbelievable golfer. He beats me at golf all the time.
That's good. That's good to know. That's
Piss
good
me
to
off.
know. Social media.
Dangerous, but you need to
need to
live
have
with
it.
it.
Okay.
It's part of the job. Yeah.
Perfect. Last two. Second best country after Switzerland.
Switzerland.
No, it's okay. I love the answer, man. I love the answer. We can leave it like that. And Swiss food.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. As fantastic as this interview was then. Perfect. Okay, hope you like the ping pong, the quick fire question.
I like it.
It was nice.
I'm gonna get shit for the Rafa Nadal answer.
No,
but,
I mean, in this channel, probably not. Maybe if
but
Roger,
if Roger hears it, I'm gonna get shit.
you know,
Okay.
if Roger sees this interview, then I'm gonna go to Switzerland and put you a bust over there and go and say this to you. So I would love that for sure. Okay, Yves, thank you very much. I'm gonna stop the recording now. Thank you very much for coming to Punto de Break channel, and we hope to see you on the courts with Pierre-Hugues and Leandro, and all the best in the future, man.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for everything.